I got in the car this morning, turned on the radio, and the first song that hit me was Mariah Carey singing about what she wants for Christmas, which means that we are now fully in the throes of Christmas and everything that comes with it, from Christmas food shopping to the decorations to the 11 billion emails I've already had from primary school telling me about all the fantastic festive events that's going on, and of course all the money that they now need for those fantastic events. But I have noticed a bit of a trend across all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, all the usual places, where people are now not just buying the usual things, but also like trying to get one up on people. I opened Facebook this morning and there was a post pop up about a festive themed tree. They've gone for Candyland. And yeah, this tree looked absolutely stunning, but I do not even want to think about how much it would have cost them to do this Candy Lane themed Christmas tree with decorations from all the usual outlet stores that you'd expect, but it's just so over the top and completely, from my point of view, unnecessary. But the thing is, we start to see these kind of images and then we start to think, well, what can I do? How can I compare? How can I try and have a go at something like this? And then not even start to think about how much it's going to cost. With that in mind, I wanted to make a video about all the things that I will not be buying this Christmas for the festive period this year or even going forward. So the first thing that I will not be buying this year is a new tree. I have been gifted several Christmas trees over the years from people, family, friends who have decided to upgrade theirs or decided that they no longer liked it or whatever the reason was. I've got about 3 Christmas trees in my attic, a couple of mini ones as well for the children's bedrooms, which I managed to get for £1 each a couple of years ago. And although, yeah, I absolutely agree that I love the smell of a brand new, freshly grown Christmas tree, for me, it's just not worth the expense. It's not worth the hassle and the effort that it goes to for the sake of just a few weeks of the year. So I'm quite happy to keep reusing and recycling those Christmas trees that I've got in the attic. The fact that I've got so many for free means I can just put them on some sort of rotation. I've even got one of the Christmas trees that I've got those built-in lights, but unfortunately they stopped working a couple of years ago. It doesn't mean that I've thrown the tree out, it just means that I've used a set of lights that I already had and decorated them with those. You can't always tell that those lights aren't working because I've got other ones that added on instead. And for me, part of that is the fun and the nostalgia. So since having my daughter, I set up a kind of mini tradition where she would go to a Christmas party on a Sunday, usually the first Sunday of the month, and it was one that my dad would take her to. And while she was out, I would get all the decorations down from the attic and put on some Christmas films and decorate the tree with those things. And as she's got a little bit older, she now joins in, and it'll be the same when my little boy goes to the Christmas parties. So it'll be a nice time for us to bond and have that little bit of mom and daughter time, but also we then get to reminisce about the nostalgia and the decorations. There's things on there that she made from when she was a little baby or a little toddler. There's things on there like her first shoe from her christening, which leads me to the next thing that I won't be buying, which is new decor. So all the things that make Christmas for me are things that are nostalgic, and it's those family memories and those reminiscing of those times that we've really enjoyed. So like baubles that have been gifted to me either from children or from friends or family throughout the years. So the only exception to this is my Christmas ornament tradition. So each year we try and get a new ornament. Ideally we'll get it from somewhere that we've visited or something like that throughout the year, so we can put it away and remember that's for that. But on those occasions that we've not, then we'll just buy one from the local supermarket, and it doesn't need to be anything particularly special or extravagant, but it's just become a thing. We leave it out the night before, and that way it's kind of like a sign for the elves to come and put the tree up with that particular tree decoration. And it's just something we developed, or I don't know, it just came out of nowhere, and then that's the only new exception to this rule that I always have. The next thing that I will not be buying is Christmas present hat for teachers. So as a teacher and a former teacher myself, having spent many years in classrooms, I was always genuinely so grateful for Christmas presents. But in all honesty, quite a lot of the times there would be repeated gifts. So there would be things with world's best teacher or greatest teacher, and the mugs and pens and things which are, you know, really lovely. But for me, as on the receiving end, it was unnecessary. I've still got so many mugs. I'm looking across my office right now and I can still see the world's best teacher mug looking at me. So I had 3 of the exact same design and things like that, and quite often they just end up going back in charity shops. So if you were wanting to gift a present to a teacher, I would always recommend something like a gift card. The amount that you would have spent on the gift anyway, something like £5 or £10 or whatever your budget is, if you really do want to give a gift, or something like a bottle of wine or a box of chocolates, something that can be enjoyed at pace, and you know, it doesn't matter, once it's gone, it's gone. It's that kind of thing. From my point of view, consumables always go down well, and even if it's something that I didn't like or I didn't necessarily want, I at least could re-gift that. It wasn't like personalised to just a teacher. It was something I could then save and pass on if I didn't like it. On a similar kind of ilk, the next thing that I will not be buying in terms of gifts is a Christmas Eve box. Now, a bit like the boo boxes that have started creeping around this year, the Christmas Eve boxes have been around for a few years longer, but they're still a relatively new concept and they're still something that I am not prepared to buy into. It might be slightly different for us because my birthday is Christmas Eve, so that kind of takes a bit of a focus on it, but even if it wasn't, I just can't get my head around a gift before a gift. If you're concerned about like the Christmas Eve box and my children's friends have all got them or something else, try and come up with your own concept of something that would work for you, but that is cost effective. Like, okay, it's 6 o'clock now, it's time to hang up our stocking. Let's have a chocolate off the tree, let's have a candy cane off the tree, whatever your thing is, but make that your Christmas Eve activity. Sit down with a good Christmassy book or a good Christmassy film, make that your focus, or open a bag of popcorn. It doesn't need to be a whole box of yet more stuff that you know for a fact will be in the charity box or in a charity bag in a few weeks. Now is the perfect time where people are decluttering. So if you're wanting a sign not to buy more stuff, think about how much decluttering you have done in order to get ready for this Christmas. That'll be you again this time next year. But if you're not buying the stuff, you're not buying more and you're not spending more money, then you've got less to declutter. Use that as your sign, your go-to point of reference, thinking, do I need to do this? No, I don't. What can we do as an alternative, as something fun, but also free, that's a bit more sustainable? Along the same kind of lines of the Christmas Eve box are, for me, the Christmas pajamas. Now, if you have got 2, 3, 4 of you in your family, the more that you've got, the more expensive this tradition can become. Now, I saw a fantastic hack online a few weeks ago, and I can't quite remember which influencer it was, but it was definitely a money-saving person, and if I find them, I'll link them in down below. But I thought this was a really good idea for people who did want to be involved in the kind of matchy situation where you could go somewhere like Primark and spend £3, £4, £5 on just a top, and then just pop it with your own regular pajama pants or shorts, whatever it is. That way you're still getting the benefit of wearing the cute little matching kind of tops, but A, it's not costing an absolute fortune. B, you've got a little bit more scope for your style, your vibe, whatever you prefer. And also it's just saving so much more money. And then also you can use it later on again. So it's just a regular t-shirt, but you could use it as a Christmas t-shirt. It doesn't have to be just for Christmas Eve or whenever people wear matching pajamas. Even the cheapest set of pajamas, when you've got a family, a growing family, then it can become so much more expensive, and quite often it's not like they can be reused the year after. The youngest then in the family ends up with nothing. So it's not going to work. It's not something that's sustainable in that respect, whereas quite often I'd encourage something of a bigger size to last a little bit longer. So that's something that I'm not going to be partaking in, which kind of also lends itself to the next couple of points. One being the Christmas jumper. We've even got a Christmas jumper day now where you're actively encouraged to wear a Christmas jumper to donate to charity, which is a great idea in itself. Now, if I were to get a Christmas jumper, usually I buy them from the charity shop. I've had one for about 10, maybe even 15 years. It's just red. It's from a charity shop. It cost me £1 because I needed to stitch up the sleeves. And it says, "Merry Christmas, you filthy animals," which, if you know, you know. But I've had that for so long because it's literally worn just a handful of times once a year. So it lasts, and it doesn't mean that I need to spend a lot of money on one each year. It just means that you've got to be a bit more cost effective, a bit more savvy about it. So if you were going to buy a new one, I would recommend 2 things. One is to get them from your supermarket if you wanted to get a brand new one, because quite often at this time of the year, they do 25% off or so much money off of the clothing ranges to encourage you to go into the shop. So first of all, you're getting a bit of a discount, but then also try and buy a couple of sizes up so you at least can get 2 or 3 Christmases out of it. So that way you're getting a little bit more value for your money as well. And in the same way, I'll say the same for Christmas clothes. I remember being a kid and you used to get new clothes for Christmas and new clothes for Easter. That was part of the deal. But as a parent myself, especially when I've been in situations where I could hardly afford clothes full stop, to get new clothes at Christmas, which will just be worn for Christmas Day only or just for a couple of parties around Christmas Day, again, it seems like an extravagant cost when you think of wear hour and how much it would actually cost you to wear that item, depending on its actual cost. So I have a look on Vinted. Facebook Marketplace, as I mentioned, people are already doing a massive clear out. So I'm going to be that person that takes advantage of that, and I'm going to go ahead and get something secondhand. If I get something at all, I'll be completely honest, I very rarely buy clothes. I've had clothes for years, but I usually buy good quality ones, the ones that'll last me, and I tend to wear the same thing over and over anyway, and I don't go out quite a lot, so I've got a lot of suitable clothing that looks quite dressy, and it might look new, or it might look like, you know, that kind of vibe, but I can just haul it out, and by the time I've worn it this year and bring it out in 12 months time, everyone's forgotten that I've not worn that, or that they've seen it before. So the next thing I will not be indulging in is overspending on silly Christmas food gimmicks. I love food as much as the next person, I honestly do, but what I'm not prepared to do is pay extra money for something that has got Christmas themed packaging on it. You're effectively paying for the packaging. It's the same sausages in a packet that you would have been eating all year round, except they now put snowflakes on it and they want to charge you £1 more. I'm not going to do that, but what I will do is start to look in the reduced section for those items if I want to include them in something that I'm going to be doing. So I am usually the host for everything just because of the size of our house, and it usually means that quite often it falls on me as well to cater. People sometimes bring things or they'll give money towards it. That's great, but I'm still going to look for a bargain. So what I've found is that if you go to the reduced section, especially around about now, because the Christmas food items are already released, and if you go into supermarkets, quite often they're not sold already because, yeah, people are interested in the Christmas things, but they want to buy them nearer to the time. So those things will end up in the reduced section. So I come along, get them at a reduced cost, still get the nice, novel, different kind of items that you might not have been able to get all year round. They go into the freezer and then they get pulled out just in time for whatever event we're having at the house. So that for me has been a great way of saving money. But also things like novelty biscuit tins or novelty cakes and things that you wouldn't normally buy. It is really easy to overconsume at Christmas because it's Christmas. I can just have this because it's Christmas. But actually the reality is you usually regret that a week later when you've got the cheese sweats. I don't need a mini truckle of cheese in a Christmas tree shape just because it's Christmas. It's still cheese. I don't need to eat the entire block of it. But just don't be fooled into it. It's cheese is cheese. Once it's been cut once, it's no longer Christmas tree shape, you know? Or use some like little cookie cutters or something if you want to make different patterns and shapes and things out of food. Just be a bit more mindful of the things that we're indulging in and that we're overspending in, and don't forget these things, like you go to the wonderful Marks and Spencer's where they've got some gorgeous Christmas tins and the little the trucks and everything else look great. Actually, it's the same chocolate inside. You're paying a premium for a novelty truck, and I've still got tins that were gifted to me last year because they're so pretty. I don't want to throw them away. I'm trying to find things to do with them or donate them or something like that. But there's only so many things you can do with, you know, a Santa Express shaped tin. You know, just be mindful of how many things like that you need to buy. And the final thing that I'm going to try and avoid overindulging in is overspending on presents. So for myself and my friends, we don't buy presents for each other anymore, but what we will do is say, well, let's put some money to one side and go and do something, go out and visit somewhere, but also then try and save it for the new year, because what you'll find is that a lot of companies want your business even more so in the January, February kind of blues. People are spending like crazy right now, which is great for businesses. But for me, when I had my own restaurant, I knew how quiet January could be and how excited you'd be to get a booking, and you were offering all kinds of different discounts or incentives to come to visit your business. So by putting our money together to go and do an event, we're going to get a really good deal. We're going to get to spend some time together. We're going to get to enjoy ourselves, and it kind of feels like Christmas extended a little bit longer. It's not going to be as manic. It's going to be a bit quieter as well. This video is not intended to like make anyone feel guilty about all the spending that they might do or make them reevaluate the lifestyle choices and everything else. It's just my personal point of view, my own perspective, and things that where I try to save money, because having had years where I've literally had no money for Christmas, where I've you know, visited charities and things to actually help for Christmas Day and things like that in years gone by. This has been a lesson that I've kind of learned, and some of the things that I've felt for me don't have that value. I quite often put traditions and family and time together as a priority rather than actual physical, tangible things. This video is born out of those kind of experiences and not one where I want to make somebody feel bad for whatever they choose to spend the money on. Absolutely, is up to you. If you've earned it, great, go for it. You spend whatever you want to. For me, these are my priorities. Thank you so much for sticking around. We've got lots more videos just like this one on this channel. I hope to see you over here. I absolutely love it if you would subscribe. That would make my Christmas. It's free and cost you nothing. Tell your friends, gift them a subscription to my channel for free for Christmas. Have yourself an amazing day, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.